what if the solar system could actually be made habitable for life? In this video, in the SpaceEngine planetarium, we'll look at a terraformed solar system where all rocky planets and major moons have become habitable. The only exceptions are the smallest worlds, less than 1,000 kilometers in diameter. This terraformed solar system was created by a Steam user. It's his mod, and you can find a link to it in the description of this video. And the first planet in this system isn't Mercury, but Venus, while Mercury has become a moon of Venus, and both of them are terraformed. And here you can see Mercury orbiting around Venus. Here you see terraformed Venus. Its class is a temperate marine terra with life. The average temperature is 3 degrees Celsius. The atmosphere consists of nitrogen, oxygen, and argon. The oceans consist of liquid water and salt. The atmospheric pressure is exactly 1 atmosphere, and it still has a 177-degree axial tilt, and a solar day is 116 days. But here it is terraformed. If we hide the atmosphere and clouds, you can see the water-to-land ratio and the continents. I'll switch to HDR mode. We see there are desert areas as well as places with vegetation. And it looks like there are snowy regions here too. I think I'll descend onto this green continent, and this is what it's like on its surface. And if you look over here, we see the star and there's Mercury. Time is sped up 30 times. I've waited for the star to start setting behind the horizon, right there near sunset. And look how clearly Mercury is visible from here. Just superb. If I turn on the automatic photo mode, there's a crescent Mercury here in the sky. Cool. Now let's head over to the moon Mercury. This is what it looks like. This is a temperate marine superterra with life. The average temperature is 7 degrees Celsius. There's liquid water and salt. The atmosphere contains nitrogen, oxygen, and argon, and the pressure is exactly 1 atmosphere. By hiding away the atmosphere and clouds, we reveal this surface relief. There are a vast number of different green areas, similar to what's on Venus. I'll turn the display back on, and here on Mercury we can also see auroras right there. And if we look at the dark side of this moon, we see the glowing lights of many sprawling metropolitan cities at night. That's so cool. I've landed on the dark side of Mercury, and this is how Venus looks in its sky. In a photo mode close to the human eye, Venus looks like this. Just gorgeous. By the way, I'll go back to Venus and show that it also has night city lights. There you go, it's all inhabited. There really are an incredible number of cities on it too. And next, we'll fly to our planet Earth. The moon itself is also terraformed. Actually, nearly everyone is already familiar with planet Earth, so we won't linger here. I'll just descend to the dark side of our planet and give you a spectacular view of the terraformed moon. The moon is right over there. I'll use the telescope to show it to you in more detail. This is how it looks from the surface of the Earth. Let's fly closer to it and take a look. We see that the moon also has quite a few lights, night cities. This is a temperate marine mini-terra with life. The average temperature is -1 degree Celsius. The atmospheric pressure is exactly 1 atmosphere. The atmosphere contains nitrogen, oxygen, and argon, and the oceans are composed of water and salt. Regarding the mass and radius of these objects, I see their natural mass and radius everywhere. So the author of this mod didn't make any changes to these parameters. This is what the day side of the moon looks like. I'll hide the atmosphere and clouds to see the terrain in detail. We see small scattered islands, but there's a part of the moon with a much larger cluster of them. See all those lights? That means there must be considerably more land in that area. I'll even speed up time specifically to show you this. And stop. See what a huge continent is on this side, bringing back the atmosphere and the clouds. I've landed on the moon's surface and sped up time 30 times. And this is how everything looks here on the surface. There's the sun, but Earth isn't visible from this part. Now I've landed on a small sandy island in the middle of some water, and there's Earth over there. There it is. It certainly looks quite large and impressive in the sky. Now I'll speed up time, the star will set, and we'll see exactly how Earth looks at night. Night has fallen here, but unfortunately Earth has somehow slipped below the horizon. Oh well, I'll have to fly forward and Earth should appear there shortly. Oh, what a view, just look at that. I've landed near a body of water, and what a beautiful view of Earth. It illuminates the moon so beautifully. I'll slowly zoom in with the telescope so we can see Earth like this. It is truly cool and amazing. And now let's head over to the planet Mars. Here's Mars, which is a temperate marine superterra with life. The average temperature is 17 degrees Celsius. The atmosphere is nitrogen, oxygen, and argon. The oceans consist of water and salt. Atmospheric pressure is exactly 1 atmosphere. I noticed, and I think you did too, that all these objects have the same atmospheric composition and pressure. It seems the mod's author decided not to overcomplicate things, and somehow all these objects look very similar to each other. But anyway, I've hidden the atmosphere and clouds. Here's Valles Marineris on Mars. It's flooded. We also see Olympus Mons, the largest mountain in the solar system. And if you look at the dark side, there are many lights from night cities. So everything right here is inhabited. I've restored the atmosphere and clouds, and I'll land right about here. I've landed on the surface of Mars, and this is the landscape. Time is also sped up 30 times. I've also moved to a desert zone on Mars. This is how it all looks here. This is what the soil is like. And as we can see, there's still some vegetation in these desert areas. It's not all that bleak here. And here at the Martian pole, we see a magnetic field, which indicates that the civilization that terraformed Mars ensured it wouldn't lose its atmosphere. I've landed near the flooded Valles Marineris, and I want to show you a Martian sunset. Enjoy the view. Wow, that sunset was incredibly beautiful. Next, we're flying to the planet Jupiter. And Jupiter, of course, has its 4 main large moons terraformed. And the first moon is Io, a temperate marine mini-terra with life. The average temperature is 10 degrees Celsius. The atmosphere contains nitrogen, oxygen, argon, and the oceans are made of water and salt. The atmospheric pressure is also exactly 1 atmosphere, just like on all the other planets. This is the view from the surface of Io. It all looks so interesting. You can see Jupiter there, a small disk, though it's not in its full phase right now. I'll go down lower. Here's the terrain with all these little rocks. But let me show you what Jupiter looks like in its full phase from Io's surface. I've moved to the dark side of Io, and we can see the Aurora Borealis here. And here is the massive, majestic Jupiter hanging in the sky. And look, there's an eclipse on Jupiter from one of its moons. There it is right there. I'll switch to auto mode. I've adjusted the exposure, and Jupiter looks beautiful now. If we turn off the atmosphere and clouds, this is Io's terrain. We can see there's a bright aurora here too, so a magnetosphere is present. Now let's head to Jupiter's second moon, Europa. It has of course been terraformed here. Europa is classified as a temperate marine mini-terra with life and an average temperature of 12.5 degrees Celsius. The atmosphere is nitrogen, oxygen and argon, while the oceans are water and salt. The atmospheric pressure is exactly 1 atmosphere. I'll hide the atmosphere and clouds. And wow, okay, at least something is a little different here. There are these stripes on Europa. That's actually pretty cool. Next, we're flying to the largest moon in the solar system and of Jupiter, Ganymede. Ganymede is a temperate marine super-terra with life, with an average temperature of 4 degrees Celsius. The atmosphere consists of, well, the same as all these objects, I'm used to it by now. Nitrogen, oxygen, argon, and the oceans are water and salt. The atmospheric pressure is exactly 1 atmosphere, but that doesn't surprise me anymore. The mod creator really didn't bother changing much. What's interesting though is that Ganymede has these large polar caps, and we can see the aurora here too. Time is sped up 30 times, and here I am on the surface of Ganymede. What a landscape. I've landed on its dark side, where the surface is brilliantly illuminated by Jupiter, and there it stands in all its glory. And you can also see a nearby celestial moon, a moon with life. That's Io, right? No, that's Europa, guys. And the last of Jupiter's major moons is Callisto. Let's head over to explore it. This is how it looks. It's a temperate marine mini-terra with life. The average temperature is almost 4 degrees Celsius. The atmosphere consists of nitrogen, oxygen, and argon. The oceans are made of water and salt. The atmospheric pressure is exactly 1 atmosphere. Well, guys, the atmosphere, the pressure, and the composition of the water, it's all identical everywhere. I don't think there's any point in reading it out anymore. But on Callisto, I noticed there aren't many city lights at night. Or maybe Jupiter lights up the surface so much that lights aren't needed. Only here, where it's truly deep night, can we see some lights. Yeah, it's likely that Jupiter provides a lot of illumination there. Descending to the surface of Callisto, we see this landscape, and a beautiful view of the sun from here. Next, we're heading to Saturn, the very next massive gas giant. This gas giant is famous for those truly magnificent rings, which make Saturn, in many people's personal opinion, the most stunningly beautiful planet in our entire solar system. And it has 5 terraformed moons, and the first moon is Tethys. Tethys is a temperate marine microterra with life, with an average temperature of 12 degrees Celsius. The atmospheric and surface liquid compositions are identical, guys. I'm not going to read them out again. And the atmospheric pressure is also identical, just like on the previous terraformed moons. We can see an aurora at one of the poles, and we can also see the lights of night cities. Now let's take a detailed look at the terrain. I'm hiding the atmosphere and clouds. There's quite a lot of land here, and many green continents, of course. Well, it's all pretty classic here. There are green areas, there are desert areas, and there are icy, snow-covered areas. Guys, to avoid repeating myself, I'll be speeding up time 30-fold while on the surface. And thanks to this, we'll be able to see the movement of the clouds. And descending to the surface of Tethys, we see this landscape. There's the star. And right here, a view of Saturn opens up. Saturn is close by here. Tethys is the first terraformed moon from Saturn, meaning it's the closest one to it, and it's certainly quite large in the sky here. And now I've moved to its dark side, and Saturn looks like this from this part. Now I'll head to the next inhabited moon of Saturn, which is Dione. Here you can see see Dione. Dione is a temperate marine microterra with life and an average temperature of 11 degrees Celsius, hiding the atmosphere and clouds. And here we see the terrain on this moon. If we descend to its surface, this is the landscape. Everything is so beautiful, those clouds. The star is visible, the star is very distant, and here's the view of Saturn. The next moon is Rhea, heading over to it. Rhea is a temperate marine microterra with life, with an average temperature of 11 degrees Celsius. I see an aurora here too, which means there's a magnetic field. And on the dark side of the moon there are lights of night cities. All these moons are fully inhabited by some kind of intelligent civilizations. And now let's visit Saturn's largest moon, Titan. Titan is a temperate marine superterra with life and an average temperature of almost 12 degrees Celsius. The atmospheric and water body compositions are identical to the previous moons. Hiding the atmosphere and clouds, here's the terrain on Titan. Lots of desert regions, and there seems to be quite little vegetation here. Yes, we see the white lights of night cities and the aurora. Well, basically everything needed for life is here. Now, one thing interests me about Titan. These red areas, could they be red vegetation or is it a desert area? And take a closer look, guys. It really does appear to be vegetation. So Titan has two distinct types of vegetation, red and green, turning the atmosphere and clouds back on. And Titan is this beautiful during the daytime. Now I'll show you a sunset on Titan. I found this beautiful spot. Time is sped up 3000 times. Enjoy the view. Sunsets in SpaceEngine are incredible as always. Night has fallen on Titan. Now let's appreciate the night sky from this moon. And of course, here's the view of Saturn and the neighboring moons. I switched to auto mode and lowered the exposure. And this is the view of Saturn I got. What do you think? From Titan's surface we can see the next moon we're heading to. It's Iapetus. Heading over to Iapetus now. There it is, and we can see Saturn there in the background. Well, it's Saturn's most distant major moon from the planet. Iapetus is a temperate marine microterra with life and an average temperature of nearly 12 degrees Celsius. And I see that even at such a great distance from the sun, these terraformed objects have the same atmospheric composition and pressure as the previous worlds. Yeah, to be honest, it doesn't look very realistic. At these distances, there simply can't be a comfortable temperature with this kind of surface pressure. And the pressure here on all the moons is 1 atmosphere. Plus, you have to consider that Saturn's moons, except for Titan, have quite weak gravity, which is unlikely to hold such a dense atmosphere. The terraformed solar system mod itself is quite old, and I just couldn't find a more recent equivalent where absolutely every object was terraformed. So this is how it turned out. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this and how plausible such a system seems to you. Next, we're flying to the next planet, the ice giant Uranus, and it actually has 4 fully terraformed moons right here. And the very closest terraformed moon to it is called Ariel. Here you see Ariel, and the aurora immediately catches our eye. Ariel is a temperate marine microterra with life and a temperature of 7 degrees Celsius. Ariel's terrain looks quite interesting. I'll hide the atmosphere and clouds now to take a closer look. There's a lot of ice on the surface here. Sure, there are green areas, but at this distance, how are these conditions even possible, huh? Anyway, I'm descending to the surface, landing right on its icy islands. Now this looks realistic at this distance, that it's all just ice here. In the sky we see the sun, which looks very small from Uranus's orbit. To see Uranus from the surface of this moon, I had to move. Well, in the daytime it looks like this. I see the clouds on Ariel are rotating quite fast. There are probably wild winds here, so I'll have to slow down time. There we go. I'm on the dark side of this moon. The light you see here is coming from Uranus, and that's how Uranus illuminates the night side of this moon. And near Uranus we can see the neighboring moons. Well, let's head to the next one. The next moon will be Umbriel. This is what Umbriel looks like. It's a temperate marine microterra with life and an average temperature of 12 degrees Celsius. And we're already used to the fact that all these moons with life have their own auroras, which means there's a magnetic field. This magnetic field serves as a protective shield for this moon from solar radiation and other harmful cosmic influences. Descending to the surface. And on the surface of Umbriel, this beautiful landscape opens up. But the clouds move slower here, so we can accelerate time. Meaning the winds here are probably lighter than on Ariel. And what a truly spectacular daytime view of Uranus. And the next stop will be Uranus's largest moon, Titania. Titania is a temperate marine microterra with life and an average temperature of almost 10 degrees Celsius. If you look at the moon's terrain, we see many icy spots and very little vegetation here. But why are we surprised? We are very far from the sun, and plus, the specs here state that the pressure is 1 atmosphere. How can there even be life here, for goodness sake? But you'd have to ask the author of this mod about that. I'm just amazed. So I've landed on this inhabited continent, and how lively and bright everything looks here. If you turn on the automatic photo mode, it's actually quite bright here. After all, switching HDR back on, and here's a view of Uranus, and we can also see the neighboring moon, Umbriel. And from the surface of Titania, another large moon of Uranus is visible, that's Oberon. Heading to Oberon now, it's the last of its major moons. And it's also terraformed here. This is a temperate marine microterra with life. Average temperature is 10.5 degrees Celsius, hiding the atmosphere and clouds. This is what its terrain looks like. But I see here, it looks like there's more vegetation than on those other moons. And I'll descend onto this continent. This is what it's like on the surface. You know what I'll tell you? Well, all the moons are somehow very similar to each other. I don't know why that is. Maybe because the mod is old, or the author just didn't want to bother. But it could have been made more diverse, I guess. Yes, and of course Oberon also has the lights of night cities. Now we're flying to Neptune, the last planet in the solar system. It has one terraformed moon in its orbit, and that is of course its largest moon, Triton. Triton is a temperate marine mini-terra with life. Average temperature is 10 degrees Celsius. As is tradition in this video, I'm hiding the atmosphere and clouds. There's quite a lot of water in this area, and over here is a large continent, bringing back the atmosphere and clouds. And we see there are also auroras, night city lights, everything's as usual here. I've landed on the surface of Triton. This is the landscape here. We see the very dim and distant star, the sun, but it's very small in the sky here. And you can also see Neptune here during the daytime. And these clouds are lagging a bit for me, you see, not sure why. I think many are interested in me landing specifically in this area where the night city lights are glowing. But here in SpaceEngine, these glowing cities look something like this. There aren't any actual full-fledged cities here, the surface just glows and that's it. The focus is more on the view from space, showing that someone lives here rather than from the surface. And at night, this is how Neptune looks. I'll speed up time, I want its phase to change. When it's in full phase, it illuminates Triton's surface very well. Switching to auto mode, this is how Neptune looks. Just wonderful. And I also see that its moon Proteus is visible. So we're left with Pluto and Charon. They're also terraformed here. And first of all, we're heading to Pluto. This is Pluto here. This is a temperate marine mini-terra with life, Plutino. Average temperature is over 12 degrees Celsius. And guys, on all these terraformed objects, there is organic multicellular marine and terrestrial life, hiding the atmosphere and cloud. We see a lot of greenery, such a lively Pluto. Here we have such vegetation, grass is growing. On Pluto it sounds just incredible. And here we see Charon. Charon looks very large here, it's close and it's also terraformed. We'll fly to it later. And the sun? There it is. It looks very small, it's very far away from here. Really far. The distance to it is almost 36 astronomical units. And now you'll see a sunset on Pluto. Enjoy the view. Wow, gorgeous. Guys, this is just fantastic. We're sitting here, watching the sunset on terraformed Pluto, very far from the sun. Just incredible. And I also want to show how it looks at night from its surface, its second companion, Charon. There it is, such a beauty. Automatic photo mode, it looks like this. Wonderful. And now it's time to take a closer look at it. Here's Charon, its class is temperate marine microterra with life. Average temperature 13 degrees Celsius, hiding the cloud atmosphere. And here is its surface. There's greenery, there's snow, and quite good bodies of water. This continent slightly reminds me of Africa, don't you agree? On the surface of Charon, there's such a beautiful landscape with vegetation. And here we see a large Pluto in the sky. And during the dark hours, Pluto looks like this, and in auto mode like this. And that's about it. Pluto is our outermost object in the solar system. Beyond that, as you can see, there's nothing else. I mean, in reality, of course, there are other objects, but the author of this mod decided to end at Pluto. I hope you found it interesting to look at this version of a terraformed solar system. Write your opinions in the comments, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And thank you very much.